going on, guys? Beautiful Wednesday right now on my way to work. Figured I'd talk about my 350Z and the whole deal with that. And it's a giant, colossal mess. But luckily I have everything needed to fix that car and get it back on the road, hopefully for the season. So the deal with that is it was originally a stock 2004 Nissan 350Z. Well, it wasn't stock, but it had high flow cats from I'm not sure who, I never found out. It had a still and Y pipe and a Momentum single exit exhaust, which is no longer a company. They actually got bought out by Z1 Motorsports. If you ever need Z parts, check them out. They're awesome. They have everything. So, daily driving Z, and then my clutch gave out. And I was like, well, I'm going to do a clutch anyways, so I might as well upgrade some other stuff. And a whole big deal happened. I happened to pick up, me and my cousin picked up a G35 with a turbo kit, a motor, blah, blah, blah. Bunch of parts to basically build another car. I took the turbo kit off that one. That one is back to stock. Sort of. Again, exhaust, custom made by me, and I will be showing that shortly as well once we get it out of storage. Because it is Connecticut and it's New England, and you never know when it's going to snow again. So, my car, it was a bone stock VQ35DE with a Precision 6266 turbo, Turbonetics turbo kit, but not their turbo because their turbos are junk. But it's got their blow-off valve, their wastegate. I had to do a lot of repair work to the piping, the hot side, because a lot of it was cracked. It's got Z1 headers, which are kind of unnecessary, but I had them, threw them on. It sounds better in my opinion. On top of that, we got 600cc injectors, what size fuel pump do I have? 255 Walboro fuel pump, a custom fuel return system, because the 350Zs don't come with a return, they're returnless, and for anything above a certain horsepower level you just need a return system. It just doesn't work either way. So sorry, I gotta switch hands because my truck is a manual. But so that's how it was, and I blew the stock motor up, unfortunately. It wasn't making that much power, but it was right on the threshold. So that split a rod in half and poked several motors in the block, destroying that motor. So I bought another motor off my buddy John. He owns a shop out in Manchester. He builds cars, dyno, tunes them, whatever you really need he can do to a car. And he actually tunes my car as well, but I bought a motor off of him for $100, which is awesome. It worked great for a couple weeks last year. And then I was having transmission issues. My pilot bearing, or bushing as it is, popped out the back of the crank, and it was just making terrible chattery noise. My alternator was seizing, and I had a couple other issues, and I just didn't have time to fix it. So I parked the car for... It's been parked for at least 5 months, I want to say. Long time not to drive your car, but been working on it the last month or so. Got it going, and it was running great. Got the tune dialed in myself a little bit with air fuels while cruising and stuff like that. Didn't do any wide open stuff, didn't want to hurt it, didn't know, because I changed the map sensor at the same time, and they read differently because up rev, so they read differently, read higher, lower, whatever. This one reads a little higher, so I dialed all that in, sort of enough to drive it, brought it to my buddy John, and we threw it on the dyno, did some just light throttle tuning, just drivability testing on the dyno. Running great. He got the numbers all dialed in, air fuel's perfect, whatever. Went to go do a power pull. It started to break up really bad at about 4,000, so we got out of it. Spark plug gap was way too big. It was all the way at 40,000s when it should be at 25. And then another power pull, it was too lean, so we richened it up. And then the third power pull, perfect, all the way up to 6,100 RPM. Until the end of the dyno run where it shut off, which was an issue we were having anyways. Nothing to do with the car, or just the car. It was the tune, just in the map table, just dialing it back so it doesn't. It was actually leaning out while returning to an idle. So, but we went to go start it back up, and it doesn't turn over. And it's not his fault. Not sure what the issue was yet. I still got to pull the motor out of the car and pull it apart. We think it's a bearing that barely spun. It didn't like bearing on bearing overlap each other. It's just a bearing that it knocked the notches off of the bearing and actually turned it a little bit. And it made the clearance too tight, or so we think. Because once the car cools down, it starts right back up, and there is oil or metal in the oil. So the motor's toast. Luckily my turbo's fine. It didn't shoot too much metal through it. I'm going to take it apart, clean it, and that'll be good to go. So the new motor, it's a stock 3.5 VQ. No, not stock, sorry, but it's stock block with stock crank, ARP main studs, ARP rod studs, King Race bearings, Manley rods, Wiseco 8.8 to 1 compression pistons. Let's see, I got ported polished heads, valve springs, and Tomei 272 cams. As actually you will know from if you watched my previous video about pulling the ProCharge G35 motor apart. So that motor is going to get, actually it's bent together. I just haven't really had the time to take it apart, or not take it apart, just to throw it in the car. Take the car apart, put that motor in. It's just, I got a lot going on between school and work, which I'm on the way to. So it sucks, but the car will be back making, I'm hoping, 500 horsepower, but it's hard to say since I am running a fairly small injector. Those cams will definitely help because I won't have to push the boost as high up. What else do I got on that car? It's oh yeah, spec stage 3 twin disc 6-puck unsprung clutch. Monster of a clutch to drive. It's not too bad, but you really have to be careful because it does grab aggressively. But it holds up to like 1,200 horse or 1,200 foot-pounds of torque, which I'm never going to make that much. But it'll last a long time, and it was free, so I'm not going to complain. So that's pretty much my build, and the other car that we'll be working on is a G35. It is not the ProCharge car. That car is gone. That got a stock motor, sold it, and my cousin bought another car. It is a 03 again, G35 with a stock motor, but no power outers. It's we swapped that motor, a new motor into it with low miles, with headers, test pipes, full exhaust that I made, X-pipe. It sounds awesome. It's loud as hell, and he loves it. Although we're actually putting long tube headers on it this year, along with a couple other things. Ported polished intake, Admin tuning 3.5-inch intake. cold air, so we have to cut a hole in the radiator support, but that's no big deal. And NWP throttle body, which is, I don't remember what, I think it's a 75 millimeter, I want to say, but I might be wrong. But it's getting ported and polished by Lip Mode Tuning. His name is Pat. And that is getting port matched to the throttle body, and then it's going to port the upper, the lower plenum, and then the lower intake manifold. And that's pretty much everything it's getting, and also obviously a tune. That car's going to be fun. It's on air. I can't remember what air lifts. I want to say it's air lift suspension, but I think I might be wrong. But we're doing a bunch of new control, upper lower control arms in the front and the rear. Bunch of suspension work going into it. We're going to change it up. Going to try and get the stance. I'm not a stance guy, but he is. Going to try and get the stance a little bit more aggressive. And that car is just a daily driving show car. I got a brand new paint job last year. It looks amazing. Drop a picture right here. And it's just a great car, and it does what he wants it to. It drives everywhere, and he loves it. He takes this thing all over the place, and I got to actually finish putting air conditioning in this year, because I didn't have it last year because the previous owner of it actually cut all of the AC lines that were in the engine bay, so I had to replace all those and put a new air conditioning pump in, or compressor. But that's the whole deal with my car and his car. And we got another video dropping probably on Friday of all the work being done to the Legacy. That's it. So hope you guys are having a great day. Hope you continue to watch our videos, and we'll keep you updated on all of the new projects going on. Alright guys, have a good one.
All I wanna do is you